be the idea is to give you to go through a couple of slides, go through the demo, and then go through the slides as well. And first stage of the slides will be introducing to OAuth and app governance, then a demo of app governance, and then after that we will show you how to operationalize app governance as well. As you can see on the screen, we've got 2 QR codes. One is related to workshops. So as a follow-up of this session, you'll be able to sign up to the workshop that it's convenient to your time zone. It's a free workshop. Anyone who is invited to this call can join the workshop, and it depends as well on the capacity as well. So please make sure you, once you sign up for the workshop, and please attend this. And once you scan this code, you will see there will be a couple of dates available. Please use the one that suits to your location. And also there is a quick survey that we appreciate if you could fill in once you've got a couple of minutes, and that will help us to understand if there is any challenges that you might have around app governance adoption, and gives us a little bit more understanding of your engagement with app governance and MDA as well. At the end of the webinar, we'll have plenty of time for the Q&A session, and also you're welcome to ask any questions during the session. And we've got Sarah who will be answering your questions in the background as well. So I think we can deep dive into our slides, app governance, and the use cases as well. So before we start talking about app governance, let's focus why we actually care about protecting OAuth applications. So most of you have heard of attacks that are focusing on the application that has been approved, and then further grants unlimited access to your emails or the resources on your environment. And then you could probably heard of the trusted applications that becomes an attack vector in critical environments. And also you might have heard of applications or apps that have been used in constant phishing attack. And where we can see those attacks are very common and they're on the rise. So the reason for app governance is to target those attacks and help you to understand and protect your environment from similar attacks. Okay. And some of the applications have the permissions to access the other applications. They can access sensitive data inside them, and even trusted application can become overprivileged and have permissions to that they shouldn't have. And therefore, app governance can help you to understand those permissions, understand the interactions of the app-to-app, application-to-application, and will help you to limit those permissions and gain better understanding of the application functionality. And to give you a little bit an overview how app governance aligns with Entra application access. So most of you would be already familiar with how Entra works as well, and you would know that you approve your applications in Entra, register in those application Entra as well. And then to gain more insights into the application behavior, define if there is an unusual activity of those applications after they've been approved. So it's not about making sure that there is the right permissions at the right when you approve them in the environment, but also to verify what the application is up to after it's been approved in the environment. And that's when app governance comes into place and helps you to gain this app-to-app protection. So thanks to app governance, we can get the visibility and insights into application configuration, high-risk behaviors. We can also create policy-driven OAuth policies to protect those applications and set some security boundaries, and then also and set some governance actions like revoking application and preventing user from accessing to it. And also we can get, thanks to comprehensive ML based detections, we can help you to detect threats and common threats and newly developed threats as well in that environment. So without quick, so that's just a quick intro to app governance, and let me just take you through a demo. So for those who don't have app governance enabled yet in your environment, you can go quickly in the Microsoft Defender, and then in their status, if you go into settings and then cloud apps, and then if you scroll down their service status, you'll be able to enable app governance. As you can see on the screen, it's been already enabled. So in your case, it might not be enabled yet. So you'll be able to enable app governance in your time. And for those who would like to join the workshop next week and the following weeks, please, if you can, enable app governance, because the idea for the workshop is to make sure that we can help you, one, to deploy some policies to start operationalizing app governance, and we'll have a little bit discussion about operationalizing after the demo. And we just want to make sure that you can get the most out of the workshop and get like a hand-in-hand, help to start using app governance. And also you'll be able to ask questions during that workshops. So this is how to enable it. You can see it's straightforward. Let me take you to app governance landing page. So once it's enabled, you will start getting some information that quite often it's an eye-opener for the customers I'm working with, and sometimes there's a lot of new learnings, surprises as well, and in terms of which application has been used in the environment, and also if there are applications that have been potentially overprivileged and highly privileged application, and also applications that haven't been used for a while in the environment. And so that's quick and policies that are actually in the background that are out of the box are deployed. Once you enable app governance, they are not going to block. They're not going to block any applications in your environment. They're not going to impact users, and you can tweak those policies, and we'll go through this as well, so that once you create more custom policies for your end, that might be more useful for your environment, more custom use cases in your environment. And also you can see here on the screen, we've got number of incidents, and we've got incidents that are obviously, when you click on the alerts here, which could be a little bit confusing, because we moved the alerts into fully integrated alerts with XDR and Defender portal. So it's actually will take you to XDR, and we will dive into some of the alerts after a couple of slides, introduction to operationalization of app governance. So let's go back to the overview. So you can see out of the box, we've got good high-level overview of the data usage, the services that have been used by the applications that are approved in your environment. And here you've got the predefined policies, so the policies that I just mentioned. And then we've got a number of policies that are out of the box in your environment, and also, when you remove the filter, you'll be able to see the custom policies if you already have some. Okay, and you also see that we support Google Workspace, Salesforce as well. So Microsoft 365 is obviously our primary view, and you got a lot more insights comparing to Google Workspace and the Salesforce environment. And when you click on one of those apps, you'll be able to get application ID, common use, verify if there is any certificates assigned to those applications. So it's a really like high-level bird's eye view, and this panel will help you to understand the use of the applications, and potentially if there are some applications that look a little bit suspicious, and you can potentially create some policies that will be looking for those applications. So let's say there is unverified publisher, if the community use is rare, or there is some issues with the certificate. If your environment requires all applications to be certified, you can certainly specify policies to narrow down those searches for those applications and potentially block them as well. And I just want to reiterate that there is no enabling app governance is not going to impact your users, and then application access to those applications by those users. So, then we've got also under app categories, something I mentioned earlier on, we've got highly privileged applications, overprivileged, unused, and unverified publisher. And then we've got we can actually click on one of those predefined filters, and we can filter down and create some more sophisticated filters that work for your environment. So the permission use case, permissions, so if there's something used, and we can verify if the publisher has been verified. And you can focus on the top applications to start, checking them, and then basically look into suspicious activities of those applications as well, which would be related to alerts. So we'll discuss alerts after a couple of slides as well, when we talk about operationalizing app governance. I don't have any interesting apps under Google. I've got a couple under Salesforce, and from here you'll be able to also revoke the applications, ban the applications, and that's something that I didn't mention on M365 when I was just sharing the screen. But you can also disable the applications here as well, right? Which will basically disable application and then an Azure AD, and then users won't be able to access those. Okay, so here is a quick overview. And I will take you as well through a couple of policies. And I think probably the best way to explore is to create a new policy and see what options we've got. So we've got a bunch of categories here that will help you. We have like a template and a custom and customize the policies to your liking. But for example, permissions, you've got the templates that are related to permissions, certification, activity, and usage as well. But in order to show you all the possibilities, I'm just going to click on the custom and then custom policy. Then once you go next, which is obviously you would provide description of the application, the severity as well, and then we'll have options to choose the specific settings for those applications, for those policies. So as you could see, we were able to actually target specific application. So we can choose one of those apps that is already present in your environment. We can apply to all with exceptions, or we can select all applications. For the interest of time, I'm just going to use all applications. And then you see we've got the conditions that we can choose from. And then we've got a bunch of conditions that we can use, and some of those we already mentioned. We can look into app registration date, so we can focus on the recently registered applications, or the oldest application, the applications that have been registered for a while as well. We can look into publishers, so if it's verified or not, so that can help us to have like a narrow down and some applications. Then we can look into delegated permissions if the application has been highly privileged as well. And yes, no. We've got also the option to use API access or access trends. So sometimes the badly design applications or applications that could be malicious have been allowed maliciously in the environment. They could have high error rates, and they could be as well easily picked by your by your policies. And then we'll look into app origin. It could be external or internal if it's been developed internally or externally to your environment. So from there, I'm just gonna remove the error rate just now, and then we've got an option, and it's just really simple example of the policies, and you can tweak it to your liking as well, and then you've got like a quick overview what options you've selected, and okay, all hubs, and then we've got the next option as well, which is disable applications. So obviously to get more understanding of the policy, and you would like to have a little bit more confidence in terms of, is there going to be some false positives? Are there any applications that are actually genuine applications and there should be in your environment but maybe have not been properly designed? So we don't want to disable all those applications right away, so let's leave it for now. And then we can also disable the policy. So policy will be just sitting there waiting for you to be approved and active. Once we activate it, you will start, before you actually activate, you've got nice panel that can help you to understand what you're actually activating, what conditions are there, and if there are any actions. Once you approve and submit this policy, it will go in your environment and start looking for those specific conditions. And you will be able to get relevant alerts to that policy and those conditions, right? So then you go into the alerts, which is part of the XDR portal, and you can find them in incidents and alerts. And we'll get back to this in a second. Let me take you back to a couple of slides. I'm just going to see if there is any questions here. I can see there is Sarah already answering some questions here. Okay, so let me just re-share my slides. Well, we can actually talk about operation, how to operationalize app governance, and a playbook that you can use and in your environment as well to help you with pre-bridge scenarios and post-bridge scenarios. So you might think that, so there's two different approaches as well. So pre-bridge, it's when you're creating policies and you're actually evaluating what applications are allowed and should be allowed in your environment, and narrowing down the permissions and verifying if there is verified publisher. And here you've got on the screen here what potential actions you could use out of the box, and you could periodically review those applications. So there is also an option as an export button there, so you could actually verify. Let me just bring it back to the screen. So once you've got those conditions, you have listed applications that match the conditions. You can save this query that will save the filter and conditions, and then you can export those applications. And the next time you be reviewing, you don't need to start from scratch, but you can compare to which applications you have already reviewed, checked, or disabled as well. So that will help you to have like a quicker and then more streamlined approach to this problem and challenge, because you might have hundreds or thousands of applications. So this is the way that will help you to get the best of the reviewing of the applications. So this is the pre-bridge scenarios, and the post-bridge scenarios are when we are actually reacting to some incidents, and we'll take you to see some incidents in a second. So we've got here just again a high-level overview of the applications, and then how you can save the screens, and then the conditions, and the post-bridge incidents response. And you're getting alerts from your predefined policies, your custom policies as well, but you will also get alerts from the out-of-the-box threat detection. So they're not visible to you, but they're working there, and they're designed by our security and research team to make sure that they're most relevant to the most and then recent and the known threats as well. So you can learn more about those as well when you click on the screen. I've got actually this on my screen here, and documentation to understand how to address those threat detection alerts. So you can see the MITRE ATT&CK, and then you can go through basically what to do when there's potentially false positive, and so a bunch of the out-of-the-box alerts and threat detection policies that are there. And obviously, they are not customizable because we just want to make sure that our research teams are on top of this, and we just don't want the customers to actually change those policies. And so here we've got a couple of incidents. So let's say you will get notification through the thanks to the either custom policy or app governance threat detection. So here is the policies that you might define, or you've got pre-configured, and you've got app governance detection as well. So that's like those alerts that I just showed you. And here on the screen, we added recently more alerts as well that will be part of the documentation in the future as well. And here you will get the incident name, you will get the alert details, and let me just once it opens. So you get the details of the alerts. When you click on the alerts, you'll be able actually, the screen will take you to the what happened story and then recommendations, right? And then we've got also convenient additional details related to the alert. And also you can, tune the alert. You could, manage it as following your best practices in your environment, and you can learn as well about the application here. So you've got XSPM search here, example, and you can go into app details and verify, learn more about the application and verify if this application is genuine or not. So that's my just test application. So probably it could be some changes there, but it will basically take you to the screen that I just showed you earlier on. Just refresh the screen and maybe go back here. And then we'll look into, so it'll be one of the applications that trigger the alert. You'll be able to learn more about the specific application, look through the data usage. So you see the latest data usage that happened within 30 days. And then users that are utilizing the applications, and look into the permissions. So learn more about those permissions, verify if they're in use or not, the privilege level of the permissions, or if it's delegated or if it's app permission. Based on this, you can decide or contact teams to verify as well with the owner of the application. So it's usually you would be contacting with someone from the other teams, or if you are not the owner of the applications. And also, which is really useful, and you can verify if any of those apps have been trying to access sensitive data. So usually it would be in your environment, it would be linked with some IP labels, and you'll be able to see if there is any activity with this application that's been trying to access specific files with sensitive label files. Okay, and also you've got here, when you hover over the user, so here you would get more information about uploads and downloads in a live environment, and then you will also get some information from the advanced hunting. So you can find related activities to this user and app. And then it's the same for the use cases of the data usage as well. So when we look into advanced counting, so it's a good way to start your journey. If you haven't had much experience with advanced counting, you can actually start using the pre-created queries for those available advanced counting queries now. And then you can amend them as well, look for, let's say you want to go for different workload, you only want to focus on OneDrive or SharePoint, you can amend this and then run the query according to your needs. That will display all those activity that happened within 30 days. So in my test environment here, and for this specific application, there might not be much activity there. But in live environment, and especially for the application that's been brought to incidents attention, it's an alert created for the specific app, you would get some good insights there. Okay, and here you can see the app origin. So it's another filter. You remember we created the policy with the specific filter here for the app origin that was internal or external. And then we can also see another advanced query that is pre-configured for you, advanced counting, and that will, and also top activities of the application. So you can see really useful functionality to start digging and start finding more about the activity of the application. So here is so basically the alerts, and then Entra as well, and then the policies. So we mentioned the policies. We mentioned also the Entra. So quite often it might be so when you're trying to operationalize app governance, quite often you might already have, or some other teams might have already some operations or like guidance as well, or some kind of procedures as well for reviewing applications. They might be doing this in Entra ID. They might be running some scripts as well. So it's good idea to connect with those teams as well and make sure that you're working close with them, and you can integrate the Arc app governance alerts with your SOC team and with your broader teams that might be focusing on securing, designing applications as well. So frequently when I speak to the customers, there will be different personas like application developers or architects that might be focusing on the security as well, and then they're in charge of those applications. So it's good to make them aware as well of the great functionality and app governance that's available there. And also the policies that we mentioned. So the three pillars here, the alerts, the Entra, and then the policies as well, that can help you to respond to the incidents and the responding to those post-breach scenarios, right? And I've got a quick screenshot as well here of the filter that I showed you on the previous screen, that you can basically look into those specific app governance related incidents and issues. So I wasn't checking actually any Q&As here. I believe Sarah would answer some of the questions. Let me just see in the Q&A. So please sign into the workshop. Please sign into the app governance adoption survey. Would appreciate if you can use some time now that we've got to answer a couple of questions, and also secure your seats for the next week workshop that we've got designated depending on the time zone. We just pre-created a couple of slots that might be useful for you. And okay. Is there any questions that was not answered? And if we can read them out, if you could, David or Sarah, if there's anything that we should bring to the forum here.
Yeah, so the team's been great with answering questions. We do have one that was unanswered and a couple that might be worth reiterating. The
Okay.
first is, will the default policies have any impact if I turn on app governance?
Yeah, so they will not have negative or any impact on the users or application. Negative, I'm saying that they won't be disabling any applications, right? But they will have impact in terms of alerts. So they will create some alerts once you get the default, once you enable app governance, and then app governance will start learning about your environment, and within a day, you might start getting some alerts in your environment. So it's for the default policies and threat detections as well. So it's really important to remember that threat detections are not visible to you, but they're actually working behind the scenes. But there is no impact on on the user's application access yet. But you can obviously, as I can show you, as when I showed you on the screen, you've got an option to disable access to the application, disable app, and also, if you're using Salesforce and Google, you would be able to use the revoke and ban option, and that will be shown on the screen in here. Sorry, I stopped sharing the screen. Second. Here we've got ban and revoke option, and also we've got a disable option in here. So, out of the box, there is no impact, there is no negative impact, but you will start getting some alerts.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, yes, Jason.
The next one we have is, do we need to perform anything to get the app governance option to appear in the security console? Even after having CASB license, I still don't see this option.
Okay, so it could be that you might be in unsupported region. There is a couple of regions, and I will try to get this, or maybe Mahesh or Sarah can bring this to you. There is few regions that are not supported at the moment, but we're working towards supporting all the regions. So it's depending where your location is and where your the financial billing location is selected as well. So it might be why you cannot see the OAuth, and you might only see OAuth apps, which is kind of legacy experience. And then in the app governance, and you wouldn't be able to see it. But when you look into settings, if I close that window here, you should be able to like submit your interest, and then you get notification via email once app governance is available in your region.
Great, thank you. The next question we have is, does either Defender for Cloud Apps or the app governance that we saw today require any sort of special licensing, or does it come with Entra?
So Defender for Cloud Apps requires, it's usually the E5 license, but there is some flavors as well, some license that can get you, like, if you then subscribe to the remaining Defenders, you can have like designate MDA license. But what we're thinking here is an app governance, it's part of MDA, and which is Defender for Cloud Apps. And whichever, so if you already hold the license of Defender for Cloud Apps, you will already have license for app governance. So there is no additional license required. It's just this small, some regions, and I think so at the moment it's like Switzerland, there is Sweden not supported, and few other regions. That's from the top of my head, but we'll share all those details in the chat as well, and as a summary of the call. So yeah, as long as you got an MDA qualified license, and you don't need any additional like P2 license for Entra to utilize app governance, and we just require MDA license and that basically gives you access to app governance.
Great, thanks. The last question we have is, enabling does not impact users. It is strictly in monitor/audit mode until I implement a policy or rule. Is that correct?
Yes, That's correct. It's on the monitoring mode, so that's when you will start getting alerts, when you start getting information about your activity of your applications, and no users will be impacted. So that's correct.
Great. That seems to be all the questions we have. So with that, I'd like to thank you, Greg, for being our guest and for sharing the great information with our community. Also, thank you to the Q&A team who helped us with answering the questions and providing the resourceful information. To all the listeners still on the line, if you're someone who wishes to aid in the protection of the world from cyber threats and desire to have a say in shaping our strategies, blueprints, and recommendations, then we invite you to become part of our security community. Together, we can make a global impact. So join us at aka.ms/security community. This is also where you'll be notified about the upcoming webinars, events, and other announcements. Thank you all for being part of our community and for joining us on these webinars. We hope to see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you.